Hello, role-playing people, and in this episode we're going to have a look at the lore of awakening, the ability to locate specific individuals, to cleanse and heal living organisms, the ability to animate the inanimate, and last but not least, to restore life. Though returning the original inhabitant to their now animated body might be a bit tricky. The second house made use of this lore when delivering the breath of never-ending life. They evoked it not only to assist the creation of human souls, but to create spirits from scratch, some of which, unlike humanity, are still immortal. Before sending the rebels to the pit, it was the Scourges Michael addressed when he said that no matter their effort and vigil, humanity will die. They will grow old, succumb to malady of both body and mind, and end up in the hands of the Slayers. So it was the House of Awakenings, Winds, and Firmament who gave humankind its immortality during Edenic times. So let's have a look at which evocations survived millennia of imprisonment and are still remembered today. Find the Faithful. This evocation allows a Scourge to locate specific individuals, mortal or demon, by homing in on their stores of faith. System: Role Perception plus Awareness. The difficulty depends on how much information your character has concerning the subject. If she has the subject's mundane name, the difficulty is 8. If the subject is a demon and the caster knows the subject's celestial name, the difficulty is 7. If she knows the demon's true name, the difficulty is 6. The Scourge can detect and home in on an individual up to a number of miles away equal to her permanent faith score. Demons being actively sought in this manner can use their supernatural awareness to detect the search as a reflexive action. If a demon detects the search, he may avoid detection, with a willpower roll difficulty 8. If he gets more successes than the Scourge, he evades the search. Torment. Monstrous demons can detect only sources of spiritual decay and corruption. They may use this evocation to seek out individuals whose faith or willpower has been reduced to 0. I cannot even begin to tell you just how valuable this evocation is, despite its requirements and restrictions. It's a huge favor to offer the other houses, and indeed anyone who needs a certain person found. This power, along with Scry, allows the Scourge to track someone by their true name and by their store of faith, which is a huge deal when the person you're trying to find is either a shapeshifter or was the victim of forced reshaping. Victims or practitioners of vicissitude, life sphere mages, a subject who is altered using lore of transfiguration, lore of light, maybe lore of flesh, they can evade anyone but the Scourges. Needs to be said, I think Scry is the better of these two in most situations, but hey, as long as your target is within a number of miles equal to your permanent faith rating, you got them. They can look like anyone else. They can possess a mortal, they can shapeshift into a mouse, it doesn't matter, because as soon as you arrive to the location indicated by this evocation, you will recognize your target immediately as you read their signature, or should I say fingerprint or dental record of faith. For a first dot evocation, this is amazing. Next dot. Cleanse. Scourges use this evocation to purify a living being, be it plant, animal, or human. By focusing their faith on a target, any poisons, infections, or diseased tissue are literally expelled from the body, emerging as a black, viscous fluid. System: Roll Stamina plus Medicine. The difficulty of the roll depends on the virulence and the scope of the disease or poison. Cleansing a body of the effects of alcohol is difficulty 6, while a virulent disease such as tuberculosis or cancer is difficulty 8 or higher. The process is all or nothing. The evocation overcomes the illness or it doesn't, and only one attempt may be made by a single demon on a single subject for a specific instance of an ailment or poison. A scourge must be able to touch her target in order to perform this evocation. Torment. Monstrous scourges use this evocation to spread sickness and corruption. Each success generated by a faith roll inflicts one level of bashing damage to a living victim. What's more, the victim suffers an additional level of bashing damage and loses one temporary willpower point each day thereafter as the corruption spreads through the victim's system. The sickness cannot be cured with medical attention. It continues to affect the victim for a number of days equal to the scourge's faith score. Whoa, you'd better not anger scourges. Being able to inflict daily unsoakable damage while robbing the target of willpower too? Very nice. Certainly, supernaturals can heal that damage, but most people can't, even with medical assistance, leaving the would-be victim to really ponder the huge mistake they made going against a scourge as life slowly leaves them with each passing day. The low torment effect can heal a lot of very serious afflictions that cause nothing but pain and are often, lethal. Interestingly enough, I think the fact that you can only roll once per specific ailment doesn't actually detract from this evocation. Instead, it adds weight to just how miraculous and life-changing the use of this power would be for someone who knows that modern medicine just can't help them. And I do need to nitpick really quick at the word order in while a virulent disease such as tuberculosis or cancer is difficulty 8 or higher. It can be understood because of the word order that cancer is a viral disease, which it is not. So I would have phrased it while healing cancer or virulent diseases such as tuberculosis is difficulty 8 or higher. And that removes a bit of the ambiguity of the phrasing. What I really like about the evocation is the way you are encouraged to describe the effects. Successful use of this power is very visible in the fact that diseased tissue is expelled from the body as a black viscous fluid. That is a powerful, frightening image, and I think again it adds weight to the act of cleansing, right? It's not like, I touched you, you should be fine, just a little miracle I performed on you. And, it's more like, a miracle in human flesh, excised illness from your body. Behold, you are excreting liquid tumors and dying tissue. You are now cleaned. And that works beautifully because even the benevolent divine in a lot of cultures can be frightening. It should be revered. Next dot. Heal. This evocation allows the scourge to heal even the worst injuries of demon and mortal alike. System. Roll stamina plus medicine. The scourge can heal all of a target's bashing damage or one health level of lethal or aggravated damage per success. The character must be able to touch her target to perform this evocation. Torment. Monstrous scourges use this evocation to poison a victim's body. Each success lowers a target's stamina temporarily. If the target loses all of her stamina, she falls into a coma and suffers one health level of aggravated damage or lethal damage if the victim is not subject to aggravated damage per hour per success, unless she receives medical attention immediately. Stamina is lost for a number of days equal to the demon's faith score. Okay, again, I'll start off with a high torment version, which is just brutal. Most living things have stamina ratings of 2 or 3, so if you score 3 successes at the difficulty of 6, most targets go into a coma, which lasts for days. Whoa. My immediate question is, what about vampires? So I know this works on mages and hunters and beings that are possessed, because those are still mortal or immortal bodies. Does it affect the undead? It doesn't say, so I really don't know. I guess this one is up to each storyteller to decide. The low torment version, however, heals the worst injuries of demon and mortal alike. So no vampires can be healed using this evocation because they are not among the living anymore. My question here is, does it restore the body to its previous state completely and with full functionality? And I think the answer here depends on how recent the injury is. For instance, if someone just lost an arm, I do believe this evocation would help them regrow that limb because the wound is fresh. It has not healed in any way prior to the use of this lore. However, if someone lost a limb years ago, then this evocation can't do anything to restore it because a form of healing, though inferior, has already occurred. Thus, restoring old wounds and disabled bodies to complete form and full functionality would fall under the purview of the lore of flesh. The fact that complete restoration requires the immediate attention of the Scourge further adds to the idea that they are guardians, right? They can do a lot of good, keeping everyone healthy and functional, but they need to be vigilant. They need to be there when the injury happens. So I think the mechanics in this case support the flavor and, for lack of a better term, the most common behavior this house exhibits as guardians of humanity. They can work miracles, but only if they are watching over you. Next dot, animate. This powerful evocation allows the Scourge to infuse non-living objects with the breath of God, giving them a form of rudimentary life. System: spend 1 faith point and roll intelligence plus crafts. The total number of successes achieved forms a dice pool that you roll for any actions that the animated object performs in a given turn. The object is not intelligent or self-aware, it is an extension of the demon's will. The demon may animate a number of objects equal to her permanent faith score at one time. The effects of this evocation last for a single scene. The demon must first touch an object in order to animate it, but he can control it from a distance as long as he can see it. Torment. A monstrous Scourge is capable of animating an object as easily as her low torment peers, but the objects she touches are filled with the taint of her anger and pain. Unless she controls them with an iron will, they lash out at the nearest living things they find, friend or foe. Make a willpower roll for each object per turn. The difficulty of the roll is equal to your demon's torment. If the roll fails, your demon loses control of that object for the duration of the turn, and it goes berserk, attacking the nearest living being it can reach. If the demon is content to allow an object to run amok, no roll is needed. Right off the bat, I love this evocation, though describing its effects might seem a bit funny, like being attacked and trampled by a living couch. It sounds really silly, but it's not any less dangerous. Beyond the initial touch, the Scourge can control multiple animated objects as long as they are within line of sight. The possibilities are endless. Any kind of heavy machinery can be controlled for a whole scene. Cars, cranes, doors, elevators, explosives, airplanes and helicopters. Wow. Just imagine your group of characters entering the lair of a tormented Scourge, an abandoned hospital, let's say. As soon as they venture deep enough into the building, the cables that are exposed through the broken ceiling start quietly sliding down like vines or serpents and attempt to strangle the protagonists. Various dirty monitors flash awake for just a few seconds, revealing threatening messages, horrifying, grotesque imagery, and all the ways the protagonist's loved ones are going to be tortured by this demented scourge. Objects around the halls of the hospital begin to warp in disturbing ways, ways in which matter should not warp. Doors hit the characters as they approach or attempt to trap them in certain rooms. Pieces of ceiling just drop on the characters' heads, while the tiles of the floor form jagged edges that try to cut and injure their feet. Further in, as the protagonists are staring down this long hallway, barely illuminated by the outside lighting, a door opens ahead. From within, they can hear a distinct and ominous plastic clanking as life-sized anatomical mannequins with grotesque, grinning plastic visages come running out of the storage room, each of them brandishing a different weapon, a piece of broken glass, a scalpel, a fire axe. So you see, both players and NPCs can do a lot of things with this evocation. I love it. It adds a whole new dimension to the saying, "Don't let the door hit you on your way out." Muhahaha. Last dot. Restore life. This potent evocation allows a scourge to breathe life into the bodies of the dead, restoring their vitality, if not their souls. Unless a soul is available to be connected to the body, the result is a mindless zombie under the demon's complete control. System: spend 1 faith point and roll stamina plus medicine. The difficulty depends on how long the body has been deceased. A freshly dead corpse is difficulty 6, while one dead for several days or as long as a week might be difficulty 7 or higher. Older bodies cannot be restored. If successful, the body is returned to life, but unless the scourge is also able to furnish the body with a soul, the result is a mindless zombie that the demon can control. Disembodied fallen may possess these animated corpses with the scourge's permission, or they can try to wrest control from the demon with a resisted willpower roll. The effects of this evocation last for a single scene, unless you wish to spend a temporary willpower point to make the restoration permanent. Your demon may restore a number of bodies at any given time equal to her faith score. Subjects must be within your character's faith score in yards to be affected. Torment. A monstrous scourge is capable of restoring life as easily as her low torment peers, but the bodies she raises are filled with a taint of her anger and pain. Unless she controls them with an iron will, they lash out at the nearest living things they find, friend or foe. Make a willpower roll for each raised body per turn. The difficulty is equal to your demon's torment. If a roll fails, the demon loses control for the duration of the turn, and the body goes berserk, attacking the nearest living being it can reach. If your character is content to allow the body to run amok, no roll is needed. And in case the living mannequins aren't enough, ladies and gentlemen, I give you zombies. Sort of. But seriously, having host bodies permanently prepared for possession at the cost of 1 willpower point, a temporary willpower point, is very powerful. The cautious scourge can prepare such vessels for itself in case it gets dispatched from its host, which is still very undesirable and a very dangerous thing. But hey, other fallen don't have any vessels prepared and are forced to latch on to the first thing that resonates with them even slightly, or be sucked back into the pit. What's truly interesting is that though these organisms have no spirit of their own, the bodies are actually returned to life, and as such they need to be maintained alive. They need to eat, drink water, go to the restroom, and so on, just like any other living being. As storyteller, I would say that using this evocation on someone who has died moments ago will also return the soul into the body. Thus, the guardians of the second house can even bring mortals back from the dead if they are vigilant and powerful enough, but clear rules for such endeavors aren't given, so each storyteller is free to make their own rules in this regard. I think it's even more interesting if, while using the High Torment version of this evocation, a devious, evil version of the original soul is brought back into the body, like the equivalent of a wraith's shadow. That is bound to make things interesting. Okay, now that we've gone through each evocation, let's have a look at the apocalyptic form this lore bestows, and that is Dagon, the Visage of Awakenings. The apocalyptic form of the Masters of Animation infuses the angel's mortal body with the blush of youth and vibrant health. Even the oldest mortal vessel appears to be in the prime of life and moves with inhuman grace, speed, and strength. This aura of life and vitality radiates as a palpable sense of warmth, like a beam of sunlight, and every living being touched is temporarily suffused with its power. Wilted flowers return to full bloom, the injured gain strength, and the old forget their afflictions. The Visage of Awakenings confers the following special capabilities. Aura of Vitality. Living beings, plant or animal, within a number of yards equal to your character's faith are infused with restorative energy. Individuals within this area heal any bashing damage at the rate of 1 health level per turn. Pass without trace. The difficulty of the character's stealth rolls decreases by 2, and her passage does not disturb the surrounding environment in any way. She leaves no footprints and disturbs no foliage. Improved physical capabilities. The Fallen gains the following bonus traits: +1 strength, +1 dexterity, +1 stamina. Wings. A pair of owl's wings extends from the character's shoulders. At full extension, each wing is a third again as long as the character is tall. The character can glide up to 3 times her running speed per turn. Torment. As the Dagon become consumed by their demonic nature, their command of life and vitality turns in upon itself, transforming their mortal bodies into a breeding ground for disease and cancerous tumors. They are covered with misshapen growths and weeping sores, and their flesh is damp and spongy to the touch. The Visage of Awakening confers the following High Torment special capabilities. Miasma. The demon's breath reeks of gangrenous rot that can have a debilitating effect on her foes in close quarters. The demon can affect victims up to a distance in feet equal to her faith score. Mortals and demons caught in the path of her exhalation forfeit their actions for the turn unless a successful stamina roll is made. Difficulty 7. If the roll botches, the victim is also infected by a virus or disease at the storyteller's discretion. Extra health levels. The demon gains 3 extra bruised health levels for the purpose of sustaining bashing, lethal, and aggravated damage. Viscous flesh. The diseased flesh of the Dagon sloughs away when pinned or trapped, leaving a would-be assailant covered in rotting flesh. The difficulty of grappling the demon increases by 2, and the character can escape from bonds such as ropes or handcuffs with a successful dexterity roll. Extra limbs. The demon grows a second set of arms or a prehensile tail at the player's discretion. Extra arms allow a character to parry or block hand-to-hand or melee attacks without sacrificing her own attack, or make up to 2 additional attacks of her own per turn, which are considered multiple actions. A prehensile tail is half the character's height, uses only half the character's strength rounding down to lift objects, and allows the character to hang suspended. So not only can the character heal lethal and aggravated damage for others and itself using evocations, but their aura of vitality heals the bashing damage of all living beings around them. That is great. The other form features don't lower as many difficulties as we've seen the Visage of Celestials do, but they add a lot of utility. The high torment powers, besides being destructive, they can also be used as a desperate attempt to protect someone. Imagine the Scourge who acts as a shield, interposing themselves between victim and attacker. They are doing it for the right cause, to protect someone, but they are still forcing their host's body to instantly grow mass, right? To give themselves more health levels that actually consist of misshapen growths and tumors, or forcing another set of hands or a tail to just form out of the host's body. So even when used for the right causes, these powers will still earn the character a torment point, which I think is great. It adds to the drama and the intensity of the scene, right? And we can see these guys as guardians really sacrificing themselves to protect the ones they care about. Those extra limbs, though, they are amazing. Like being able to also defend or potentially grapple without sacrificing your attack on the same turn. That's good. So there we have it. The Lore of Awakening, the power to locate, cleanse, heal, and even restore life to most living organisms, while also being able to animate and control inanimate objects. While I've never been a huge fan of the second house, I must say, revisiting this lore, evocation by evocation, it really shows me that they have huge narrative potential, both as player characters and as NPCs or antagonists. From my limited experience, most healers in other games don't really do anything else but heal. They don't have good damage, they don't summon things, they don't lay traps, and they don't really find things using supernatural means. They just sit around being good and healing others, which gets boring pretty quickly. But in Demon the Fallen, the House of Winds can also poison and inflict horrible diseases onto their victims. They can resurrect the recently deceased, effectively controlling them like zombie marionettes. They can animate matter and use it to either attack a target or trap it. And of course, they can track anyone within a certain area in spite of any type of shapeshift or disguise. Beautiful. This is awesome. Thank you very much for listening. In the next House Lores episode, we will be taking a look at one of the lores of the third house. Which one could it be? Take care, have fun, and don't forget to play.